drop the music volume down a little bit here. Alrighty. Howdy folks, welcome to Arclight's Asylum. Little stumble of a start there. I'm your host Zach. We've got another episode of real-time painting for you tonight. Quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Aries Minis and Games. Derek's been helping support my endeavors for a few years now, and I am very grateful for it. Go ahead and check out his web store for anything and everything Battletech. He's also got a ton of other miniature and game lines available, as well as some hobby-related supplies. He's got like card games, tons of dice, and other things too. Yeah, huge variety. As a Canadian, he's my #1 pick for anything Battletech related coming from south of the border. Tonight, we're going to start working on a forward operating base set from Death Ray Designs. It's a cool little scenery set that goes very well with 6mm scale wargaming minis, especially Battletech miniatures, which are now being scaled at 1:265 scale instead of 1:285. Small details, but they are slightly larger than standard 6mm scale, so these go very well with them. We're going to do these in a fairly standard khaki Hasco barrier look, but on the towers we're going to make some color changes just to, not have everything just be monotonous tan, because that's kind of boring. We're also going to change up the color of the Quonset huts. We're kind of probably paint them in like olive drab, just because that's cool. And then I can quickly show people how I do my olive drab on a very simple structure. Yeah, there's also like a power pack thing, or like a pile of crates. It's a weird thing, but we're gonna paint that in something different as well. But yeah, we're gonna do some basic prep. We're literally starting from the very beginning tonight. We're gonna do basic prep, sand these things smooth on a few areas because they are printed, like they're commercial prints. And then we're gonna prime with the airbrush, and away we go. Hope you're looking forward to it. It's a very close vote on the poll, with the fob only winning out by a single vote. So be sure to keep an eye on the poll channel in the Discord in the future, so you can have your say on where we move on to going forward. Speaking of the Discord, quick reminder, pop over to the Discord if you haven't already. I have linked it in the chat. I've also linked it in the description on YouTube. If you are watching this after the fact, I would like to invite all listeners to go post your work in progress shots, photos of your finished minis, or any other hobby and art related things you want to share. Throw them in there. We're going to take a look at everything toward the end of the show, and just give some feedback and just kind of schmooze. It'll be good. Anyways, without further ado, let's hop over to the painting desk and let's get to it. Okie dokie. As you can see, I have a bunch of things here. I also have a cafeteria tray. I know this looks a little bit out of place, but these things are actually very handy. I bought like a 4-pack of these a couple of years back. I think I paid like 20 bucks Canadian, so it's like $2 US. But yeah, they're super handy, like if I'm doing basing, or if I want to like even spray paint something outside, it's always very handy just to have something like this. It's just come in handy for a ton of things. And as you can see, I have some glitter. I've made like Christmas ornaments and stuff. It's cafeteria trays, super handy to have, because worst comes to worst, I can just literally take this outside and hose it off. If it's just like sand and stuff or flocking, or I can just clean it out into a garbage can. Pretty handy. Anyways, there's not a huge amount of things we need to file and sand. Some of these things are fairly trivial, like the insides of the Quonset hut tents. Like I'm not gonna file that down. Like this isn't getting painted on the inside necessarily, so the only thing I'm really worried about is if there's any big bumps on the very bottom here, which there aren't any big ones, but we're just going to take a little bit of sandpaper to this stuff. On things like the guard tower here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit. On a couple sides, there are some support markings from the 3D printing process. So we're just going to go ahead and file those a little bit. I'm not really going to bother filling them in with anything if there are little divots left over. I just don't really care to. This is just a quick, cheap little set. It's just a printed set. And it's just, you know, tabletop terrain that's going to be thrown into like a tackle box, essentially. So, yeah. We'll make... These towers will be nice. We have like these little spotlights on the sides of the tower. We'll probably try to do something kind of cool with those, just cause. Well, I'll try to make them look like they're actually lit if I can. Yeah, this is that little power pack thing I was telling you about. It's yeah, they're like crates, but there's also this weird thing on the bottom. I don't really know exactly what this is. Maybe I'll just paint it like crates, but it is a little bit odd. Kind of cool, but also odd. But they're hexagonal, so very with the Battletech theme. What's going on, Dewdrops? And then of course we have Hascos. These are just modular walls. I thought about gluing these to like plasticard, like strips of plasticard that I would cut out and kind of build a base to them, I guess, just to have soil around them. But I figured I'd try to keep these as modular and table agnostic as possible, if that makes sense. I just kind of want to keep these, you know, as general scatter terrain, not have bases on them. I'd also thought about like building like an actual big like fob base to just put on a table, but again, I kind of want to be able to keep it table agnostic, so having it just kind of modular so you can just kind of build up little areas like this. It's definitely yeah, kind of cool. It's like grown man's Lego sorts. All kinds of different things and configurations you can kind of do, so I enjoy it. Boom. There's a quick one that I thought of a while ago. Quite easy, just a couple Quonset huts inside there. This could be like a command tent area, something like that, you know, you never know. But yeah, cool little set. I like it. This will be pretty quick and easy to paint when we actually get to it. Well, let's get to it. I'm just going to quickly give a bit of a stand on the bottom of the Quonset huts. Now, I'm not making a bunch of dust here, but if I was standing a lot of stuff, like some of these I've already kind of done a little bit of work on. Just remove it because there was a couple of big supports on some of these. Stuck to them, which I did think was a little bit odd that they weren't completely cleaned off. But yeah, if I was sanding a ton of stuff and making a lot of dust, I'd probably want to have a dust mask, but I'm just doing a very small amount here. I'm not really that worried about it. I do have my window open in my office. Not that that's like perfectly safe by any means, but yeah, I'm not making a huge amount of dust here. But I am using this to contain any dust that I may potentially make. Thankfully, a lot of the dust is kind of staying stuck in the sandpaper here, or the sanding sponge, I should say. This is just a Tamiya sanding sponge, super handy. I'm thinking when we go ahead and paint these, I'm probably going to paint the Hascos in like a mid-tone brown, and then I'll layer up to a bright khaki from there. I'll probably do a bit of dry brushing, and then I'll just use a normal brush, like a sable brush, to paint in the soil areas. I think I might do the soil areas kind of like a more mid-tone color, like more mid-tone dominant, just so they're, you know, they're not as tan and bright as the Hascos themselves. I just think that would look kind of silly and dumb. Again, I want to try to create a little bit of contrast wherever possible. Now, I do have these little file bits. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this one, and I'm just going to hit few of these areas under here, just to see if I can smooth these out. I'm applying very little pressure here. I'm just trying to let the file do the work. I'm being just a little bit aggressive with this because I'm trying to kind of blend these small little divots into the flat side of the watchtower here. I'm going to use sandpaper there just to kind of finish it off, and that's actually pretty good. Those tiny little divots aren't really that noticeable anymore. They're actually very smooth. Like when I touch these, they're very, very smooth. So I think once I layer up some, let's get that to focus. I think once I layer up a little bit of primer and base coat, whatever's left there is going to largely be filled with paint and be pretty even. We'll go ahead and repeat the process just on that little piece there. And again, I'm just going to be applying very, very little pressure here. I want to kind of let the file do the job and not me. I'm going to change the music here, actually, quickly. Change it to something a little bit more upbeat. This is a good song here, this one. And same thing, I'm just going to come back in with the same sandpaper. I don't remember what grit this is. Unfortunately, the information's like worn off on the back here, but this is like kind of a medium grit. It's not super, super fine. I guess it's one of the more, it's on the finer side of the medium grits, but I do have a very fine grit on here as well. I think this is like 1,000 grit or 800 grit or something like that. It's very fine. This stuff's very fine. Does it say on the back? Oh wow, it's only 600. Okay, never mind. This is very, very fine though. This one's 240, so this is for, you know, this is a much rougher one. So this must be around 400, I guess. That's what I would reckon. Okay. This watchtower is essentially good to go. There's just a tiny little bit of nub right here. Just smooth that off. This one, same thing, it's just got these little nubs. These ones are actually kind of raised rather than like being depressions. So this is actually a good thing. These will smooth off really easily. On to this next one, and then essentially once we finish with this, I'm going to go ahead and start priming. Nice and smooth now. Can't even really see the marks on that anymore. Just the actual sanding strokes. That's about it. This side's a little bit rough here. I'm just gonna, again, very little. I'm using very little pressure. I'm just kind of dragging this off the surface. Alrighty. Good to go. Didn't really make much dust, but definitely handy having this here, especially because we are going to be painting. I didn't want to have to wipe down my whole desk, so it's just advantageous. I can clean off the spray later. I have just a stack of trays up on my shelving unit here with some of my airbrush stuff sitting on it. Go have a sip of my Diet Coke. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and pop these off to the side. Now, when it comes to painting, I do kind of need something that's going to hold these. So I'm gonna create a quick little makeshift paint holder, and I'm just going to use I have a few different things that I can just stick a big wad of sticky tack to, and that's what I'm going to use essentially to hold these on. Alrighty, I'm going to do a quick little setup here. The airbrush related things. Also going to bring the airbrush compressor a little bit away from the desk just to avoid vibrations. But not least, the old airbrush booth. I am going to run this because I am going to be doing a reasonable amount of layering. This isn't perfect, but again, I do have my window open, and this does catch like essentially all the particulates that are coming out of this. Now, I do normally use my respirator, but for the purposes of the stream, I'm not going to. I essentially always wear the respirator when I'm airbrushing, unless I'm just airbrushing on stream, or if I'm just doing like little spot highlights on jump jets or something, where I'm not really creating particulates that are going to be flying all over the place. Everything is essentially landing on the model. I don't really worry about it then, but when I'm doing, layering like this, I generally try to be careful, but talking through a respirator while trying to stream, not really conducive to entertainment value. So this thing may get picked up in the audio, but hopefully not. The program can do a pretty good job at snuffing that out a little bit. I'm probably just going to use one of these. That's something that's a little bit heavier. This guy's got a washer glued onto it, and that'll be a little bit more sturdy. I'm going to utilize both actually here. I'll have a wet and a dry. So what I mean by that is I will attach one piece, I'll do my layering, I'll set it off to the side, I'll have another one ready to go, I'll do my layering, then I'll set this one down, grab the one that I was just working on. This should be dry now. Pluck that one off, grab the next item, throw it on. And that's how we're going to kind of progress through this. This is generally how I tend to progress through large batches like this. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit more sticky tack. This is Gorilla sticky tack. It's pretty strong. I like it. And by Gorilla sticky tack, I mean like the same company that makes Gorilla Glue. So. Going to throw a wad kind of up like this. I think we're going to start with the Hascos. We'll do the, well, I guess it doesn't matter. We're just priming right now. But when it comes to actually layering up the paint, I think we're going to do the Hascos first, and then we'll do the Quonset huts afterward. Make sure this is nice and sticky. Good. Ooh, Warwolf 22 just resub for 2 months. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Boom. Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my airbrush. Also gonna double check my PSI because my daughter loves to come into the office and play with the output valve. Just got 25 psi, which is about perfect for doing some primer. I am going to use some Vallejo black primer. Give this a really good shake. Running out of this stuff. I have to order something. Alrighty, and that's just this stuff. I'm probably gonna order something other than Vallejo. So for those of you who are watching, Vallejo has had strikes quite a bit lately because the employees are very unhappy with the direction of the company. They got bought out by some folks, and yeah, big corporate overlords doing big corporate overlord things. Yeah. It's unfortunate. I am just noticing that my needle is a little bit stiff. I think I have a little bit of dry varnish just in my airbrush. I'm just going to give this a very quick once over with a little bit of cleaner, just to make sure we don't end up with any unwanted clogs, which are going to cause us some ass pains. Just looking in chat here, Warwolf 22, how's it going? It's going good. Thanks for that reset, man. I really appreciate it. Wargaming Wanderlust, what are you working on today? Old eyes can't decipher what you're working on. I'm working on a Ford operating base set. I am, however, just getting prepped right now with my airbrush stuff. Whoops. Gonna use a little bit of airbrush cleaner on a piece of paper towel. I'm kind of wiping from back to front, which I know is a faux pas when it comes to, you know, doing the biz, but when it comes to wiping down your airbrush needle, back to front is actually kosher and preferred. So, you heard it here first. I advocate for wiping back to front. Just only in a very particular context. Go ahead. I just have these little kind of pipe scrapers. If you're gonna do something like this, just be very gentle. I'm just coming in here and very gently going back and forth in the channel that the needle goes through, just to make sure that there's no dry, hard varnish or paint. This is good to go. I'm gonna double check the nozzle here. This looks pretty good actually. Out of the nozzle. I like testing with my little Windex bottle because the little end spray nozzle on the Windex bottle fits inside this nozzle perfectly. Okay. I go ahead and throw this needle back in. Just kind of using my finger there as a guide. Slide the nut on there. I'm just gonna keep my thumb, very, very little pressure, but I do want to keep pressure on that needle so it is seated all the way in the nozzle. Just don't press it very hard so it reams into the nozzle. And we'll go ahead and put this back together. I'm just gonna flush a tiny little bit of cleaner through it, just to make sure that it's nice and clear. If you haven't used your airbrush in a while and it's been sitting, this is always just kind of good to do. And I haven't used the, well, I think I have a bit of a fog actually. I do. A little bit of a clog, it seems. I think the nozzle just has a little bit of stuff stuck on the inside. Are the Vallejo strikes still going? Last I heard, the management agreed to the new demands, like increased salary. Oh, that's good. I haven't kept up with the news. I haven't really paid too much attention to it in the last month or two. But yeah, hopefully they they meet all the employees' demands. It's unfortunate when a company ends up under new management and then all the employees are disgruntled because of the changes. This again here. I was just using my little nozzle scraper. This is meant for a 0.3 millimeter nozzle. The very tip of it is just a little bit bent, but doesn't affect its operation at all because the tip of it is very, very skinny and not thick enough to cause damage to the nozzle itself. Okay, that one more time. It's still fairly clogged. Interesting. I apologize, folks. This is not the most interesting thing to be watching. Me trying to unfocculate my airbrush, but this is just the way airbrushes are sometimes. And unfortunately, I've been extremely busy, so I didn't have time to kind of prep this ahead of time. So I'm just going to take this completely apart. And I'm just going to get a good amount of airbrush cleaner in here. Kind of let it run back inside the internals. And I'm just going to drain it out into my little pot here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a scrub brush. This is good for kind of the opening. Kind of the initial section here. Just kind of give this a good twist. Go to the slightly smaller one, because I can actually get this one to go a decent ways back. Feels like it's a bit tight in there. Might be a small blockage just in the back channel here, where the airflow is supposed to go through. And it is I'm getting a little bit more resistance than I normally get pushing this in here. So I think that's where the issue lies. I kind of bent that up a little bit. There we go. I think whatever was in there I kind of cleared, because it's pushing a lot more easily through there now. There we go. Probably just a small chunk of paint. I'm just going to see if I can. There we go. I don't know what I thought I was doing there. I was like, oh yeah, let's spray some air. I don't even have the trigger in it. Hilarious. Yeah, you can see there's I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of debris I've kind of pushed out into the cup there. Just gonna go ahead and gently kind of wipe that out. Sometimes it's good to do this not on a paint stream. Werewolf 22 was some time ago. Yeah, I haven't looked more into it. Hopefully it has gotten better. For the airbrush, do you usually use a number 3 tip? At least for me, that has been a good balance for control and flow. Yeah, I've never really used anything smaller, and I can spray into some pretty small areas with some pretty good control using a 0.3 millimeter. So I've never really felt the need to go to anything smaller. I mean, I think if I got like a harder and Steenbeck, I think that's how it's pronounced, airbrush, like a really high-end one, maybe I'd get an alternate nozzle and a needle for it, as well as another crown, like one of the pointer crowns. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Those are pretty cool. But yeah. Go. Let's try this one more time. Now that we've done like a very good flush here, I'm just gonna try to get a bit of water into the trigger back in first. So first things first, I'm going to slide this in. This is just kind of the like a needle cradle, as well as the trigger cam or trigger roller. Slide that in. Grab the locking nut, throw it in. I'm not gonna tighten that all the way because I still need to put the trigger in. And just gonna grab, just use this to kind of hook the cam back here. And as you can see, it kind of pulls the cradle back. And I'm just gonna slide this in real gently. Gonna find the hole. There's a joke somewhere in there. Just gotta find the hole. There we go. Got it in the hole. Cool. Grab a little bit of cleaner before. Oh, oops. I'm supposed to cover the end of this first. Put a little bit of cleaner in there. Kind of roll it back, swish it through, and then flush that out. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the nozzle, put the nozzle back on. We're gonna see if this works. Hopefully it does, so we can actually start priming these. Seems like it will. This will hopefully ensure that we have a good time painting rather than fighting with the airbrush the whole time. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure that I can flush this cleaner through my airbrush. Oh yes, really good airflow, just flowing right through. No air backflow bubbles. That's really good to see. That's just what we needed. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of thinner, just a little bit of airbrush thinner to our paint pot, and then I'm going to add a bit of blow improver. Right here, show you just kind of the volume that we're working with. So right now, it's kind of the volume we're working with for thinner. It's just a small amount. It's like, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 millimeter or 1/4 milliliter, something like that. And then we're going to come in with a little bit of flow improver. I'm going to do about 2 parts flow improver to 1 part thinner. And then I'm going to kind of just fill up most of the rest of the pot, about 3/4 the way with this. It's not an exact measurement. I usually just kind of eyeball this, but this is usually a good amount. I'm gonna create just a tiny little bit of backflow, like so. It's gonna create a little bit of bubbling. I'm gonna use this to pop those bubbles, just like so. And I'm gonna grab my mixing brush, dip it in a little bit of water, and I'm just gonna mix that up a little bit more. What that little backflow does is kind of force a bunch of the flow improver and thinner up into the primer, and then using the mixing brush obviously just mixes it up the rest of the way. I'm just going to go ahead and backflow just a little bit more, just to make sure it's really well mixed. And I'm just going to cap this off, that way I hopefully don't make a mess. I'm also going to grab a glove. This is has two jobs. It's to try to keep excess paint off my hand, as well as keep me from putting my like skin oils all over the miniatures when I pluck them off. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. I'm gonna add a bit of brightness. Let me know if that gets a little bit noisy in the chat. We're gonna go ahead and start it here. Kind of checking flow there. That kind of just prime the underside very gently, just so we get a little bit of continuity of coverage. Oh, I just noticed I have a lot of some backflow going on here. That's unfortunate. What's going on here? Let's see, a little bit more flow. Up a little bit. Very strange that we're getting backflow right now. I wasn't getting backflow when I tested with the cleaner and water. Partly solved there. I'm going to leave this as is here. I'm going to pull this away. Go ahead and grab this. Very strange. Brush is being very temperamental right now. Not a fan. I think it was, I think I had a chunk in the primer, actually, that made its way into the pot. I'm going to test this. I think that was what was causing it, because I had a chunk in the bottom of the pot that was kind of bobbing by the needle. I saw like a chunk of something come out with the ink and I flushed it. We have a flow improver here. Once again. We're getting a bit of backflow. You find sometimes if I have a bit of a weird clog, sometimes unscrewing this and just backing this back and forth a couple times sometimes can do the trick. Kind of did it. Let's see how this goes. I'm just gonna, oh, it's still blown up. Very annoying. Well, that's, yeah. Yeah, it's so much backflow. I don't understand why. Very peculiar. I haven't had this issue in a very, very long time, and it's normally just because I have a clog. Okay. Try to clean this one more time. Apologies, folks, this is not very entertaining. We haven't even really gotten to painting yet. I'm going to push the needle through the front. I don't want to have it go through the back. Once I have something dried on the needle, that's creating, you kind of have a little bit of something that's on the needle. Super, super annoying. I've had a good streak with my airbrush for quite a long time without having issues. Did have like a very small layer of varnish kind of stuck on the end here, so I'm just kind of scraping it off very gently with my thumb, trying not to hit like the very tip of the needle. Yeah, that might have been what was causing it. One more time. Good water flow through the nozzle. This has already been scraped, so I want to scrape it more than necessary because I don't want to damage it. Man. I'll try this again. Testing airflow with just water in the pot, and I'm not getting any backflow. Flush this completely once more. Right. Flushed even more quickly actually than the last time, so maybe that little bit of varnish that was dried on the needle was the culprit. I really hope it was. If not, I'm at a loss. Because again, a little bit more thinner, a little bit more flow improver. A bit of primer.
watching each drop of primer go in here because I want to see if I notice any like chunky bits. Seems like a pretty smooth primer right now, so go ahead and just mix with the brush. And I don't have any backflow right now, absolutely none. Give a bit of flow through. No, I'm not getting any backflow anymore. Okay. I think we solved the problem. Turn this back on. Go ahead and pop this ASYLUM off. Another one on. As quickly as possible. This doesn't need to be like perfect 100% coverage. This is just primer. You want like, you know, kind of the 90% solution at least. Main areas I want to kind of pre-dry are the ends, because that's where I'm going to kind of grab them from. I'll go ahead and set this down. Pop this one off. And grab another. I'm going to add just a little bit more primer to the next here. Getting a good opaque coverage. I think I just have a little bit too much thinner and going through primer right now. Good. Too thin, it takes a little bit longer to dry, which is not desirable. Trying to rush with some speed here. So there is a bit of, I mean, definitely more art than science. Thicker paints generally means less moisture, which means it'll dry more quickly. It's going to spray the end here a little bit and spray the end here. Set this off to the side, come back to this one. This was fairly thin. It's taking a little bit to dry. Pluck this off, trying to use the bottom. And grab, yeah, another Hesco. Success. Yeah, success. Correct. Time. It's about damn time. Linder will pick that guy up. I don't have to be super careful right now because they're just primer, but as we get further along here, I'll have to be just a little bit more careful. I don't damage the paint. It's the nice thing about airbrushes is you can kind of hover in an area with your airflow and it'll help speed up the drying process. Is that a ventilation hood you're painting inside of? Yeah, it's an airbrush spray boot. They come with hoses so you can vent them out the window. But I'm not painting with like lacquer paints, enamels through my airbrush. So I'm only concerned about particulates. So I use this to catch all the particulates. It's forced air. So it yeah, pulls it through the cheap little filter that I have here. Very handy, and you know, helps to keep my lungs clean. I usually wear a respirator, but yeah, just for purposes of this, I'm not. Pop that guy on there. Saw a couple hairs on there. Have to go around the wheel here a little bit. That's heavy. I'm just blowing air if you can't tell. I know the noise cancellation software probably cuts out the airflow sound quite a bit. But when I'm just kind of turning it around like this in front of my airbrush, it's just because I'm blowing air on it to try to speed up the drying process. Go down. Alright, onto the towers. I'm going to be kind of a little bit more careful to make sure I get kind of the inside of the tower there, inside all this support structure. There's one area I'll spend a little bit more time on. Make sure I have good even coverage. Oh, and I'm running out of time in my river. Oh, I just made a mess. I gotta clean up here, folks. Made a big mess. Oh, that's a first. Black paint water all over my, or black primer water all over my floor. Thankfully, it's hardwood and it's sealed, so quickly spray it down with some water just to keep it dry. And scrub with some paper towel here. Stream of mishaps. Get done. This is what I'm wiping up off my floor right now. And this. Being spattered all over my feet. bring a little bit more water here. So okay. I think we're good. Leave that there. My goodness, what an ordeal. Okay. Ready. Going on, Audible Jelly, you didn't miss much. I'll tell you that right now. Been a stream of mishaps. And, took me a while to get my airbrush to cooperate, so I'm going to grab a little bit of thinner here. And some more fiber. Go. And we continue. Bit of a clog there. That's good there. Next tower. Good thing that this wasn't covered in paint because it fell in the black primer that's on the bottom there. I'll wipe that up after. Paint on the inside of these supports here. Just go. Inside is nice and dark. Weird. Resin showing through on the inside there. Definitely thin primer down a little bit too much. Sides here a little bit. Back to the first one. I definitely thin this down just a little bit too much. Gonna try to dry these corners. And I'm gonna kind of gently pluck this off. that. This guy as well. Got a couple corners I can kind of buckle onto. Boom. Spread this out a little bit. I'm try to build up a small mound. Stick this on. Monza hut. This one's going to be getting painted with a bunch of green. If not more than adequate. I'm just drawing this off to pluck it off, just because the crates that I just hit with primer are still pretty wet. I have to force the clog out there. You want to paint the Hascos first. You want to clear these off of the folders. That little stuff. And I'm going to kind of do this with the sticky tack, because what's going to happen is the sticky tack is going to kind of eat the paint a little bit, thus making more of its surface area still sticky, because when it's all covered in paint like that, it's not sticky. And I need this to be, well, sticky. It's likely so. Just enough to keep, just pressing it on enough to keep it on while I can blow on it hard and it's not going to fly off. So, with this, I'm just going to kind of stretch, and I just kind of stretch it out, fold it over on itself, and that'll kind of do the trick. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clean out this airbrush quickly. I'm not gonna do a full clean. I'm just going to flush the thing out. Using a paper towel to kind of wipe out the cup, like any dried on paint. I'm using my spray bottle, which is just a Windex bottle with water in it. Just using that to kind of force water into the cup and remove any paint. Get a little bit of backflow, some water, and just fluff in that. Now we're going to move on to the first color, which is going to be Monster Brown. That's an Army Painter color. I'm going to find it right now. Digging this up. So this is Monster Brown. It's a mid-tone brown. We're going to layer up all the Hascos with this. Fixing a elastic on my braces. I just felt a oil improver, a little bit thinner. Just kind of eyeballing this. I don't have a good answer for you as to how much you should put. It really depends on the paint you're using. And I really hate the old adage of, oh, make sure paint is milk consistency. That's not always true. So don't use that as like a gold standard or like gospel or anything. Sometimes it needs to be thinner. And sometimes it doesn't need to be quite that thin, even with an airbrush. So, yeah. Be thin enough? I think this is thin enough. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Alrighty, we're gonna go after it. And because we have the black on there, it adds for a good deep shading in these areas that aren't quite covered completely. Because we're not putting on like a super heavy layer, I dusted it on there. This should dry pretty quickly. That down just off the side. Just doing short blasts along the sides, and then blast along the top. We are layering up more colors, so again, this doesn't need to be. This is dry enough to handle now. Pop that off. Another. Beauty about this set is a good bulk of the work we'll be able to do with the airbrush, and then the rest will be majority of just like dry brushing and then kind of blocking in some of the smaller detail areas. So we'll kind of get like the 70%, well, no, more like the 65% solution done with like the airbrush. And yet another Haskell barrier. Fans for about 5 seconds each, 5 long Mississippis, and then pop that guy off and put this guy off too because this one's dry. And we'll grab the last 2 Haskell walls, and we'll be on to the corner blocks and then the watchtowers. At the end of the paint here. Paint pot, as you can see. Got that off to the side, it's not quite dry. Just gonna add a little bit more film improver. Over there. A little bit thinner, compensate. Not more paint. Paint consistency is honestly, I feel it's a feel thing. And again, each paint is going to be kind of different, so. Different paints just tend to behave a little bit differently, even within the same paint brands. Sometimes it has to do with the pigments. Good. Just airbrush to blow off, or a little bit dry a bit. Good. Let that off. Plastic corner blocks. Well, after the paint. Give them a few seconds. Just gonna sides and left off. Alrighty, onto the towers. Now for the towers, I'm not going to focus on the actual tower pieces. I'm just going to focus on the bottoms for now. The tops, I'm going to paint in probably a gray of some kind. just for contrast. We kind of have to get it a bit middle there. Bit annoying. That's okay. That was basically coming off. Best I can do. All right. We're not going to move on to the Quonset hut yet. Quonset huts yet. I'm going to move on to the secondary color with the airbrush that we're throwing onto the Cascos, which is going to be desert yellow. Might keep this a little bit more desaturated, but no, we're gonna go with desert yellow. Fade myself here. I'm gonna go ahead and get the sticky tack to eat some paint again. Thinking about paint spills, I was reminiscing about some of my worst. Whole bottle of Nolan oil was likely the most expensive, but saddest when it was the carpet that drank a full bottle of Microset. Oof. Yeah, that would suck. Microset and Microcell aren't cheap. I actually, when I have them open on my desktop, like I usually have my cutting mat out whenever I'm doing decals, because I cut my decals on my cutting mat. I use sticky tack to stick the bottom of my Microset and Microcell bottles to the cutting mat on my desktop. That way, when I have them open, if I accidentally bump them, they don't knock over, and they've actually saved me a couple times. So, highly recommend. Go ahead. Deep pot. Spray it out. Bottle with water. A little bit of water in there, and the water's just a little bit cloudy, but I'm going to get a bit of backflow just to try to get some of that paint that's working its way back into the system to flow out. Again, a little bit cloudy. We'll try this one more time. We're pulling some paint. And the water's a little bit better. We're pulling a little bit of paint, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and wash this through now. We're going to be using a very similar color, so it doesn't need to be completely sanitized. The khaki, the brown rather. It's like a yellow khaki color. Brown. And desert yellow from Vallejo. We don't need a huge amount of this color. We're not going to be doing a huge amount of coverage with this. We are doing a highlight gradient. So, yeah. Auto Jello, it's a good idea. Going to do that now. I'm applying decals at this exact moment. Yeah, it's a lifesaver. Things like that. Boy. I'm at the end. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of Hammerfall khaki into this. It's a desaturated, brighter khaki color. The Formula P3 color, actually. Yeah. gonna have to order some desert yellow paint and see if I can get it. Alright, I'm just gonna put that there. I've got a couple ash tables in there I want to retrieve, just glass beads. A little bit of hand flop tapping into this. This is fairly thin. I can layer up very, very thin, wispy layers. As you can see, I'm just tinting this one area here, or I can really build it up. So what I'm going to try to do here, I'm going to try to pick kind of like the top edge of like this one half, and then kind of the bottom for this other half, if that makes sense. Like so. I know it looks a little bit weird right now. It will look nice and high contrast in a little bit. So, yeah. Okay. Kind of down there on the bottom right. I'm going to repeat the same thing up here. So, and then I'll hit the top. So it adds a nice little bit of variation, especially once we add a dry brush to this. It's just going to add a ton of tonal variation, which will look really nice. Pop chicken sub chat. There was a pun competition last month. I know some really good ones, so I entered 10 of them. Just got the results back today. I was really hoping to win. Unfortunately, no pun intended. I'll take a moment to pray or thank the Lord himself sent his wrath down upon the earth from the heavens because of this ridiculous pun that Papa Chicken has put into the chat. Let's continue. I'm just keeping it with the same theme. I'm going to kind of do the same thing throughout. I know that makes things a little bit more uniform, but that's okay. I kind of do the same throughout when I have multiple pieces like this. Makes things go quick. Kind of moving quickly here. Boom. That's good. And again, I'm not really too worried about the dirt on top because we're going to paint the dirt. So, pop this guy off. Little highlight gradients, real simple. But these will add a nice little, again, bit of tonal variation. Very low effort, but it has a big result in the end. Few more walls to do, and then we're into the corner pieces. The corner pieces will actually be a little bit easier. See what we'll do in the corner pieces, and they look pretty sharp. A little bit sharper than these. This is just a bit of a weird shape to work with. I'm just trying to add fading and highlights. Kind of moving through this quickly now because I want to move on to the corner pieces. I don't want to get to the Quonset hut. I'd like to finish the airbrushing on the Quonset huts. Happy to be of service. Dewdrops, pleasure's all mine. Great Scott. Right, corner piece, numero uno. So I'm going to try to keep the highlight reaction kind of similar here. What I'm going to do is do like the lower half, but also the left side like that. I'm going to do this kind of on all the stuff. Just like that. And just try to keep those highlight direction consistent. What's that? Good night, fellas. Hey, I'm all. Just like so. Little highlight gradients. Once these get dry brushed and all those edges get hit with like a very bright khaki, this little subtle shading is gonna pop really nicely. Looks a little bit kind of blobby right now, but once everything gets sharpened up with the other stuff, dry brushing, that's what I'm trying to say. It's gonna look good. Alrighty, just got the towers, and then we are done with the Ascos and the khaki tones. Again, a mishap, so I just dropped the crown on my airbrush. So. literally on my hands and knees looking for it. Underneath my PC. There we go. All covered in hair. Off the desk. All right. How am I just noticing that you paint with your left hand? Yeah, I am left-handed. Go. Right. Okay. I'm going to use this bottle of desert yellow to put the remainder of the desert yellow and Panafol khaki mix that I've made back into. So I still have a decent amount of it in my airbrush paint pot. Get this thing open. There we go. Literally just going to very carefully pour this in. Just like so. Got a bunch of bubbles just kind of sitting. Okay. Yeah. Quickly. Be adding in a brown color. I know it sounds weird because we're gonna I was gonna paint the Quonset huts in green, and that is correct. I'm going to paint them in green, but I based in brown. So helps provide deep shading, kind of earthiness to it, which I really like. Go to chocolate brown. So I'm going to layer up onto the crates as well as the Quonset huts. Doesn't need to be opaque because I do have all that black in. I apologize that I kind of have to do this off camera, or else I risk not having all this stuff falling off the edge of my desk. I'm just mixing this off camera. I've just got the chocolate brown. But that's okay. Take first here, stick her on. Dark brown, nice dark chocolate brown. That's actually not too thin, that's just right. Just like so. The sides here, like these hexagonal sides, I'm going to eventually paint those in metallics. So, quickly, mostly dry now. I'm just going to set that down, grab a Quonset hut, and a chunk. Whoops. Got to do that one-handed, all slick like, and just looking, disaster again. The end. I'm covering essentially the entire thing with the brown. Not until I start adding the green that I'm going to start being a little bit more conservative with my application. There. Waiting for that shine to leave. That's kind of how I know it's dry to the touch. Got off. And last two closet huts, pretty quick. And you have a bit of a chip on that bottom of that Quonset hut. I don't really care. Oh, same thing, I'm just going to dry off the ends. Set that off to the side and set this off to the side. Okay. And I burned through basically all the chocolate brown that I have in the paint pot, which is perfect. I'm just going to quickly flush out the last little bit. And then we'll go on to the first green, which is going to be olive green from Vallejo. It's a very saturated olive green. Very saturated compared to like army green from Army Painter, which is also an olive green, but like very saturated. It's got like some gray undertone to it, as opposed to a yellow undertone, which the Vallejo olive green definitely has a yellow undertone to it. But the yellow undertone is really nice. It adds a bit of saturation, and I kind of worked up to almost the yellow highlight, so that goes on very thin, but yeah, you'll get there. All right, so again, olive green from Vallejo. So that's compared to Army green. You can see this is much more saturated. This is why I like using this. Pulls over here. Don't need a huge amount of this color. So you just kind of mix up the highlighting style. Good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit kind of the lower. So. The very top center. And there's all these little kind of textured bits, and I'm using this downwards zenithal direction to add little gentle highlights to those textured bits. You can see what I'm doing there. Having kind of opposing lighting there, it's like this little ridge on the edge of the tent is casting shadow over kind of the top area of this end, but then you have the direct light as well as the bounce light from the ground on kind of lighting up the lower half of the end. We're going to go ahead and repeat that on the other one here. Again, we're going to kind of start on the ends, build up the bottom. Really going to focus on this central band. Kind of dust down the sides, like so. And that's what gives me that very nice gentle highlighting on those textured bits. Again, kind of that opposing lighting adds a little bit of contrast and visual interest. It looks really nice. Not necessarily completely realistic, but we're not necessarily going for completely realistic here. Do the next Quonset cut before I do the crates, because I still haven't exactly determined how I want to do the crates. Let's see. Building up that color on the end. Feather the trigger on the sides here to be very light color application. Top grade. Boom, there you go. We are going to highlight this with another 2 colors. Hair off there. Good enough. That guy. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is all the flat surfaces I'm going to hit straight on that are facing straight up. All of these angled ones I'm going to hit pretty well as well. So I've got the brown's a little bit harsh, so I'm gonna just kind of from the side just dust just a tint. And once I get into the next highlight colors, I'm going to be very selective with how they're applied, so it's going to bump up the contrast on this even more. I'm going to go ahead and open up my olive green bottle because I still have some olive green left in my paint pot and the airbrush, but I don't want to waste it. And yes, there's flow, groover, and airbrush thinner added to this, but that's it. It's totally fine. It's just going to thin the paint down slightly in the bottle, which isn't a bad thing, because oftentimes a lot of these paints are a little bit too thick out of the bottle. So over time, they kind of get to like the perfect consistency. Right as I get toward the end of the bottle, I'm going to rinse some of the excess paint out of here. I'm not going to do it complete flush because we are still sticking with green and yellow tones. Good. I'll mix up, I'll not. As you can see, my gloves are getting pretty caked with paint. The next color is going to be Lizine Green. Okay. This is very light. It's got a lot of yellow in it. The color that we're going to use after this is Ogre and Camo. So this is very much just like a yellow khaki, but we're going to use both these colors to highlight. I'm going to start first with Lizine Green. These are airbrush paints. I'm just going to add a little bit of flow improver. Don't really need a lot of flow improver paint for this. You want to make sure that you don't have any speckling when you are spraying, because you want this to be very gentle. Find lots of thinner to this. That's better consistency. So this is almost a glaze consistency, which is actually what we want. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this guy. Top. Hitting these edges. So you can kind of see like this looks like very harsh lighting, but it's an effect of the paint. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to deepen that contrast. That's pretty good. Go ahead and grab the first closet hut. Very gentle, I'm not letting a lot of this go at the same time. Very thin, light coat. Draw it best I can. I'm gonna put a little bit towards the very bottom edge of the end. Look good on the ends. Add a bit more to the top. This is along that center line. As you can see, the contrast is getting pumped up quite a bit. A lot more brighter on that center line. Composite huts, the same thing. Love painting military structures because they can be as detailed or as simple as you want, and anything in between. And just along those bottom edges. I want to move on to this next highlight color. I'm not going to hit the sides of the ends here. I'm just going to hit the top. Dry this off just a little bit. And just another little bit. Nice and high contrast. Still looks good with just the two colors creating the gradient, but adding these primary and secondary highlight colors really make the big difference. Good. Alrighty, we're gonna go on to the ogre. I'm just gonna rinse this out. This will probably be our last color for the night. I believe we're after 10 o'clock here. Oh, we're just before 10. Okay. Yeah, this will be our last color for the night. Kind of want to finish no later than 10:30 so I can get a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, my daughter is still sick. If you can believe it, like she kind of got better a little bit and then got sick again. Took her to the doctor today. Took her to the doctor today. Otherwise, she's doing fine. She's honestly in a pretty good mood. Just got a bit of snot and kind of a rough cough. So, gonna hang out with her tomorrow. Taking a sick day to do that. That'll be fun though. Just hang out with my daughter. Take her for a walk around base. Watch a bit of TV with her. She has we don't want too much screen time with her. She likes Thomas the Tank Engine. You can believe it. Watch a little bit of that, and then we'll play, do some other things. She's got tons of toys and stuff, so we're gonna have a good time. Now, a little bit of plumper with my brush. I have just the smallest amount of Wolverine camo here. I really don't need a lot. It's like a couple drops. Actual couple drops. Oh, thanks. Good shade. What is the best shading color and why is it royal purple? It definitely, I mean, royal purple definitely is a really good shading color. It works really good with these greens as well, actually. Like these exact same greens with royal purple instead of brown. Works very good on vegetation in particular. The royal purple and the layer up these olive like the olive green yellows. Really nice. All right, so I'm just going to do a very thin line. Just that very center line. Significantly brighter now, just on that very center line. And it makes the overall thing look much brighter. Hope your daughter gets better soon. Thanks a lot, Warwolf. Yeah, dude, it's such a bummer when they're sick and look at you all pouty like, yeah, I hate it, man. Like it's, yeah, I just want her to feel better, man. She's such a trooper though, man. Like even when she's sick, she's always so happy. When she's happy, she's real happy. Such a happy kid. We got really lucky that way. I'd like to think our parenting style helps there, but yeah, she's a very happy kid. Our little angel. All right. So as you can see, there's still like a good amount of highlighting and shading on the ends, but the tops are getting cooked by the sun all the time, and they would see tons of light, especially like the material of these tents is like a shitty vinyl plastic. It's probably not vinyl, it's some other horrendous material that probably causes cancer, like everything else in the military. But yeah. And yes, I am speaking from experience. Not that I've had cancer, but I know a lot of things that I work around cause cancer. Okay, got that center line good. Try to kill some of the shine. Oh, that looks pretty good. Great. Covering the top flat panels. Up to the side here. Just kind of really just brushing the airbrush along the edge. So I'm going to just dust from the side like that, just to increase the brightness a little bit on those downward panels, ever so slightly, but they still retain a very deep shading. Looks good. I'm happy with that. And again, all of these hexagonal areas, these are going to get painted metallic, or just simply gray, like gray shades, but probably metallic. Boom. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and turn this annoying thing off and get it out of the way. I'm gonna grab my super sexy Breaking Bad mask, my respirator, put that there, get this out of the way. Gonna do a quick little bit of cleanup. I will put these kind of
in the background so you folks can look at them. Now that they're drying pretty well. They don't have a crazy amount of shine to them anymore, but you can see the shading and the highlights for a lot of these things. Again, just kind of those opposing corners there, you can kind of see, just adds a nice little bit of contrast. Once we add in the dry brushing with a makeup brush to kind of get like a good even coverage on all those raised areas, and then fill in the dirt on the top, it's going to look really nice and super low effort. Like, it's not going to take long to do it all. I reckon this will probably only take us another 2 streams at most, really. The next one will be the bulk of the work, and then the final stream will probably just be like the little detail bits on the watchtowers. That's in there. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly spray these out. Quickly clean my airbrush because I don't want my paint to dry in it and create a clog like I had to deal with at the beginning of the stream. Because that was super, super annoying. I was very upset. It was like an hour just trying to get priming done. And I don't even think I finished the priming in under an hour. I think it took just over, I think it was just past 9 o'clock. But yeah, it's good progress for tonight. Like 2 hours with like 45 minutes of that fussing with an airbrush. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then yeah, these, the wash towers I'm going to paint in like dark grays. And then towards the end of all this, I'm going to use some pigment powders with just water and kind of wash a little bit of the pigments into some of the recesses. It's going to add a nice little effect. I really like doing that with pigment powders, just kind of mixing them with water and different like concentrations, and kind of washing them onto bases and stuff like that, and even over like the feet of mechs. It just looks really good, and it's again very low effort. And I don't think a lot of people think to use water with pigment powders, but it's something I learned from El Miniaturista on Instagram and Facebook. Love that dude's channel. If you haven't checked out his page, El Miniaturista Juan Sanz. It's from Spain, and he is an absolute god when it comes to painting object source lighting. He's got pretty fun non-metallic metals. Like, they're not super clean. Like, he doesn't do, I don't know, he doesn't spend a lot of time blending, but all of his highlight and shading placements are like, they're perfect. So he doesn't really need to blend that much, and like at a glance you're like, whoa dude, that looks crazy. And you know, you look a little closer and you're like, oh okay, I see some areas that are a little bit rough and scratchy here that could use a little bit more blending, but like just the highlight placements, like perfect. And I mean, he's essentially how I learned to do object source lighting, was just looking at a lot of his workflow slides and his little like reels on Instagram. I know he's got a Patreon. I really should subscribe. There's a couple people I want to subscribe to on Patreon, but Flame On Miniatures is another, or I think it's just Flame On. Yeah, Flame On Miniatures. Does tons of crazy, like tons of really good tutorials. Lots of non-metallic metals, and they're super smooth. Like, the guy's blending is insane. He's almost as good at OSL as you. You're trying to flatter me there, Scotty. I think he's a little bit better than me. But I will say, like, he makes it very easy to kind of approach object source lighting. He just kind of breaks it down in a very simple way that makes sense, and the way that he does it is just very easy, especially with an airbrush. All right, taking off my big paint glove. I got a soft hand here with well, I don't have pruny. Well, I'm starting to get pruny fingers, but my calluses are nice and soft now. They're not all hard and crusty, although these ones aren't too hard and crusty, but they're a little bit crusty. Definitely more so compared to these.
Pardon me while I just fumble putting all my shit away. Damn you, dirty paint water. You almost ruined the whole night. Alrighty, I'm gonna set my airbrush off to the side here. I have a little airbrush holder that's clamped on my desk. It's actually super handy. Who's gonna? Somewhere else. Right. Clean up, everybody, clean up. Okay, we're gonna go, folks. Going to pop over to the PC. We'll close out with the Discord. Okay. Oh yes, I still have some Diet Coke left. It's room temperature, but that's okay. Let's say I was, would it matter? How many shorts show up while I do and scroll all the time? I agree, damn amazing. Yeah. Let's say I was, would it matter? Oh, talking about me. Yeah, trying to flatter me. I guess that's, yeah. Wouldn't. Damn, missed it all. At least here for this. What's going on, Nighthawks? Alrighty. Let's open up Discord. Shaboom. Let's go back a little bit here. Oh yeah, we were talking about a few things back in here. Some Comstar stuff, 3D prints. These are FDM prints as well. Not bad for a filament printer. I did add my little thing here. I don't mind if you guys are sharing 3D prints that are potentially IP infringing, but definitely don't share the files or anything. Don't like that. Oh, the gunsmith. I love the gunsmith. Such a cool design. Oh, I love that. On the Centurion, that's super sick. I like that. The Hell, also known as the Loki Mark II. I really like this mech. It's super spicy. Dual Gauss rifle? Come on. And Black Lantern. Black Lantern's just awesome. That's from Sanctified Seraph, Mantardis. Some more awesome work. Oh, I love that. The flea crushed underfoot. Looks pretty good. I really like the red. I like all the highlighting and scratching. Looks really nice. Definitely reminds me of my style, honestly. Javelin, Dexter De Santos, another mech. I know Dexter De Santos is fairly new to painting, so this is pretty good. Thin your paints down a little bit more. I think you'll avoid a lot of this texture here. Oh, beautiful work. Nice and clean. Oh, I looked at this earlier today in one of the other channels, actually, with a backdrop. It looks really nice. Oh, nice. That's the Sturmfuhrer, or whatever it's called. I like that tank. It's pretty cool. Almost looks like Black Widow Company colors. I'm not sure what that insignia is. If that's just like Knight Heraldry, or if that's from an actual subunit. Maybe it's Davion. Davian, whatever your preferred pronunciation. White Fox SG, what's going on? Oh, here's Scotty's Hunchback. I love the synthwave coloring. So, if I could offer one piece of advice, Scotty, I think one thing that you're running into that's going to cause you problems is your muzzle blast is the same brightness as the paint job. If you add a bit more white into the center of this, and then have like a steeper gradient
going from the white to the yellow, and then kind of have the yellow come a little further out. I think that might help you a little bit, but yeah, definitely adding in a bit of white into the mix to brighten this up will definitely help. Because right now this is like equal brightness to, whoops, the actual launcher or the Canon. But otherwise, this thing looks fantastic. A lot like the mech itself is just unreal. I love the coloring. Oh, Audible Jello's Firefly. I'm a big fan of the Firefly. I really like the Mech Warrior 3 opening where that Firefly gets just absolutely schwacked. A couple Fireflies get schwacked. Or I think it's one gets schwacked and one almost gets schwacked. And then the Mad Dog comes in to save the day. I think that's more correct. Audible Jello. Ooh, little tree behind the gunsmith. That's a cool looking tree, actually. Albeit a little bit large, I think, but still looks really cool. Ooh, I like these like hex rocks. Are these basing bits that you added yourself? Did you cut these out yourself, or are these like printed bits? Great feedback. I wasn't happy with it, but couldn't figure out why. Yeah, it's the brightness. It's just the internal brightness. I really find when it comes to muzzle blasts, I like to paint. Here, let me go back to Scotty's. I like to paint the entire blast effect white, and then I like to layer up colors over top. So I'll layer on white, and then I'll do a thin glaze of fluorescent yellow ink, and then I'll start picking kind of all of the raised areas away from the deepest recesses on this, and I'll start layering on like a more sunburst yellow, kind of like this tone, on the most raised areas, and then I'll progress into like my oranges and my reds if I feel the need to add red. But I find doing it that way helps to really keep the brightness in the recesses. And then yeah, like good choice on adding in like some gray and stuff. Definitely good call. I mean, technically trees can get to easily 100 to 150 feet tall. Yeah, for sure, definitely, technically. And I guess if you're on like a low gravity world, your vegetation and like your flora and fauna would probably be larger as well. So yeah, definitely. It's all subjective and it's all contextual based as well. So definitely 100%. Made the hex rocks from wine port. Very cool. I'm gonna steal that idea 100%. I definitely dig that. Let's go back to that. Where was that? Yeah, right here. I like that. Super cool. Back to that Firefly. Now, I'm curious what you did here. Is this like metallic paint with like a glaze of like blue ink over top? Or like speed paint or something? Atlas is supposed to be 12 meters, which is about 50 feet. Yeah, I think if I'd have to double check the size chart, but I think actually no, the Atlas is about 14 meters, so it's even taller. I'm fairly certain it's closer to 58 feet, if I remember correctly. There's like an actual like real world versus miniature size chart, and it gives you like the scale measurements and everything. So you know, it tells you how tall the miniature is versus how tall it would be in real life. Turbodor color shift paint for the cockpit glass. Nice. I have do I have Turbodor, or are they what brand are they? Yeah, they are Turbodor actually. I have a few of them. I have like the radium color and a few others. I like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like maybe it's Martian green, and it's like black with like a green holographic hue to it. Oh, super cool. Well, 50 to 58 is still much shorter than 100-foot tree. Yeah, for sure. not a lot of 100-foot trees in areas outside, like, I don't know, like San Francisco, and I don't know, I'd have to Google that. Definitely have some big trees around me, though, that's for sure. I definitely have like lots of 50-foot trees around me. Like an Atlas could definitely. I've always hated that argument when people are like, "Man, painting mechs camouflage is stupid. You're not gonna be able to hide a big giant mech." Like, absolutely you could. Absolutely you'd be able to hide a big mech like that using some camouflage. Especially when you're talking about the ubiquitous use of like ECM and stealth armor and other things. Like, having just actual visual disruptive camouflage is always a boon. Doesn't matter if you have a big mech or a tank or something like that. Having camouflage just makes you slightly harder to see, which is what you want. Like, I would like having that split-second difference of somebody spotting you right away or taking a couple seconds, and then maybe you get the shot off on them before they're like, oh shit, that's a unit moving. Especially if you're on like big open terrain, like with rolling hills and things like that, and you have like changing lighting conditions. Camouflage 100% is a good thing. And again, tons of 50-foot trees, like big Manitoba maples around where I live. Big old spruce trees that are at least 50, 60, 70 feet tall sometimes. So yeah, there's probably a lot more 100-foot tall trees than I would give credit. Oklahoma, cottonwood. Cottonwood is a pain for machinery. Nice. Yeah, you know what? There's definitely like 100-foot maples in southern Ontario and things like that. And there's definitely some really tall spruce trees where I live. So I would wager 100-foot trees are actually a lot more common than I initially thought. Plus there's the whole dazzle camouflage effect. That works really well with fleets, because when you're on and they don't use dazzle as much anymore because of kind of modern optics are able to kind of defeat a lot of that. I mean, it still is used in certain naval capacities, but yeah, dazzle works really good when you have like a close-in fleet. It's kind of the zebra effect. Redwood trees, your initial reach there can grow to be like 300 feet. Yes, definitely. I knew that for sure. They also get to be like 40, 50 feet thick, some of them. But yeah, pretty cool shit. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and say that that tree is reasonably within scale, especially a gunsmith. A gunsmith is probably like 3 stories tall, 3.5. So I definitely have trees near me that are almost as tall. So I stand corrected. I think it's hard to remember when mechs are mech scale, but trees and terrain are map scale. I don't really operate on map scale because I don't play classic. So I tend to try to use scale terrain as much as possible, and that includes vegetation. But I actually have a fair variety. I have like taller pines, I have some shorter, shrubbier trees, and some bigger, taller, shrubbier trees. I have a big mix, so yeah. Well, I think that's about all now. I do appreciate you folks spending your time with me tonight. I'm happy that we got to do this. It's been a long week. It's been a week actually since we streamed, but it's been a long week of work and just family stuff. I do have a wedding tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Saturday. Got my mom coming in from out of town to visit / take care of my daughter while my wife and I go. She literally flew. She's flying 2.5 hours tomorrow to come see us. She's coming from Ontario, so she's literally coming like she's coming like 1,500 kilometers or something like that. as the crow flies. Pretty cool of her. But yeah, we're going to a buddy's wedding, and it's going to be fun. And then we will be back on Monday evening. So I will see you folks then. It's been a very, very good night. Happy y'all dropped by. Happy you could drop by as well there, White Fox. And I definitely agree with Warwolf. I've seen a ton of great work in the Discord. Keep posting them, folks. My name is Zach. This has been Real Time Painting in Arclight's Asylum. I bid you adieu.